Hi, everybody, and welcome to week 11. Can you believe we're in finals week? We are in finals week in HIT 500. You need to pat yourselves on the back. Now, if you have not completed your survey, this is your friendly reminder. Keep in mind, we want to hear from you. Now, this is our week 11. So let's have a lot of fun with this discussion forum. What would be the effects of the internet shutting down? Let's talk about it. Let's see what theories we have that are out there. All right. We're also going to look at our poll questions as well as a chapter review. Okay. And then we're going to wrap it all up. With that, let's get into it. Super exciting, right? Now, because this is finals week, I want you to make sure that if there's anything that you're missing, to just reach out to me, okay? Our math trivia. What number is an improper fraction always greater than? What do you think it is? A number that an improper fraction is always greater than. If you guessed 1, then you would be correct. Also, mathematics may not teach us how to add love or minus hate, but it gives us a reason to hope that every problem does indeed have a solution. Just a little quote that I like with mathematics to kind of make you think, you know what, that's correct, right? Every problem does indeed have a solution. All right, let's go down memory lane. We started off with chapter 6 with the second half of the module, and we looked at mortality rates. Here we were calculating the mortality rates. We looked at hospital, we looked at gross, net, post-operative, anesthesia, maternal, newborn, fetal, cancer, crude, and we also looked at case fatalities. We contrasted the difference between general, regional, and local anesthetics, as well as looked at the difference between obstetrical death and indirect obstetrical death. Okay. We also looked at a lot of formulas. So if you need a quick reference, screenshot this particular section. This has all the formulas from chapter 6 that we used to go through our apply and reflex and do the exercises that we did in the live session. Give you a chance to click, click, click. Then we moved into chapter 7. Here we looked at different terms for autopsies. We also recognized what a coroner case was and determined when it would be included in an actual hospital's autopsy rate. We calculated autopsy rate, of course, gross, net, adjusted hospital, newborn, and fetal. We also looked at different software that is used to complete spreadsheets from our reading, right? Because we weren't really going through and working through Excel, but we are aware of the different ways from the chapter that you can utilize software. And then again, these are the formulas for chapter 7. Again, here's the opportunity to go ahead and take a screenshot so that you can kind of have this as a reference as you're going through and trying to figure out, okay, which one is fetal autopsy rate as opposed to newborn autopsy rate. You have it at a glance where you can at least start preparing for your final exam by looking at this and going over it and working that muscle memory of your brain. Give me a couple seconds. We then went into chapter 8, where we looked at morbidity and other miscellaneous rates. Here, we summarize the calculations based on, of course, morbidity, mortality, infection, postoperative infections, complications, consultations, and readmissions. We explain the difference between a surgical operation and a surgical procedure. And then we identified the attributes that constitute what a closed surgical case actually is. Again, formulas. So there is a lot of formulas and things that we covered not only in our live sessions, but when we were doing our apply and reflect. So just like before, giving you a couple of seconds to go ahead and screenshot this particular slide so that you're able to go back, read, and really digest these particular formulas, because they are going to be instrumental to your success as you go through those particular problems on your final exam. All right. And then in chapter 9, we looked at statistics computed within health information management departments. We were able to relate what a full-time equivalent employee is. We talked about budgets. We looked at fiscal years. We looked at variance and variance analysis, as well as a payback period. We also explained the use of various statistics to operations in HIM departments. And what I mean by that is in terms of a unit labor cost, productivity, staffing, and budgets. We also differentiated between an operational budget and a capital budget. We finished up chapter 9 looking at how to develop the appropriate statistics to use in the management of an HIM department. Now here, we look at an example of some of the apply and reflections and examples from the chapter that we worked in the live session. And we looked at trying to compute a cost per request. Okay, we looked at everything that was included in this particular table. We, if you notice, took each particular number, divided it by 410, because that was the average request per month. We were able to get the cost per request for each line item. And then we were able to get a total based on all the line items for the cost per request for that particular spreadsheet. We then went into chapter 11, and we started talking about presentation data. Now, here we explained and differentiated, I should say, nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. We also looked at different types of data, discrete and continuous data. We distinguished between tables, and then we looked at different graphs, bar graphs, pie charts, line graphs, histograms, frequency polygons, pictograms, and then we even talked about scatter diagrams and how to really choose the appropriate graph for what we're trying to use it for. You created a table and a graph, and you were able to display statistic information. And then we finished up chapter 11 looking at how to prepare the basic elements of a report. In chapter 12, We looked at basic research principles. We compared and contrasted quantitative research and qualitative research. We distinguished different types of research. For example, we looked at research methods, we looked at samples, we talked about data collection, the techniques that go around data collecting. We looked at data interpretation issues. We determined the steps in the research process. We also explained the role of the IRB, watched a couple videos on the IRB, and how they're used in research facilities, more specifically when we have a human specimen. And then we finished up looking at the ethical guidelines in the use of different statistical data. So I want you to take a look at this particular diagram. Why? Because it really breaks down quantitative research and qualitative research. And you may see some questions that you'll have to identify the difference between quantitative and qualitative. So another one of those opportunities to screenshot this particular section if you need it. All right. And then our very last chapter that we covered on the second half of this particular module was chapter 13. And here we looked at inferential statistics in healthcare. Now, we explained inferential statistics. We compared and contrasted descriptive and inferential statistics. We interpreted the standard error of the mean and confidence intervals. We also identified and described that oh so awesome null hypothesis. And we finished up looking at the importance of t-tests and the chi-square. So for all of you that are watching this live session, I'm going to go ahead and go over these poll questions, okay? These are just knowledge check questions that you have seen from week 6 all the way through week 10, okay? So let's go ahead and begin. Now, if a hospital had 7 deaths and 520 discharges, including patients, for a particular month, what is the hospital's mortality rate round to the nearest 10? So in front of you, you have the choices between 1.1%, 1.3%, 1.4%, and 1.2%. The correct answer is 1.3%. So remember, you take the 7 deaths divided by 520 discharges equals 0.0134 times 100, giving you 1.34 or 1.3%. Remember that the 4 is less than 5, so we do not touch that 3. We round to the nearest 10th, giving us 1.3%. All right, next question. A graph depicting the frequency of continuous data. However, a frequency polygon is in the line form instead of bar form. Are we talking about discrete data, interval data, frequency polygon, or histogram? Here, ironically, the answer is in the question. Frequency polygon is the correct answer. Next question. During the last semi-annual period, University Hospital had 6,234 discharges, 18 deaths, and 15 autopsies. What is their gross autopsy rate? Report the rate as a percentage rounded to the nearest 10th. You see your choices before you, A, B, C, or D. We're looking at how to come up with this correct answer. The correct answer I hope you chose was 83.3%. How did I get there? you have 15 autopsies divided by 18 deaths equals 0.8333 times 100 equals 83.3%, rounded to the nearest tenth, gives you 83.3. All right, performance improvement activities are crucial in helping ensure that the department is functioning at an optimal level. True or false? So PI activities, they're crucial. True or false? Hopefully you chose true. Next question. From July through December, Community Hospital had 32 patients with complications and 2,394 discharged. We're calculating the complication rate and rounding to 2 decimal places. And of course, the answer is there, 1.75, 1.55, or 1.34. You see that 32 patients divided by 2,394 discharges, rounding to 2 decimal places, gives us 1.34%. If an analyst is compensated at $14.50 per hour and analyzes 6 records per hour, what is the unit labor cost? $215, $242, $250, or $230? The correct answer, $2.42 per record. Remember that you have $14.50 per hour divided by 6 records per hour, giving you 2.416, equaling 2.42%, or $2.42. What is the following, or which of the following graphs would be best for the cancer registrar to use to display the 10-year survival rate of breast cancer patients at your hospital? Would it be bar graph, histogram, frequency polygon, or a line graph? The correct answer is a line graph. Blank means the state of being diseased or the number of sick persons or cases in relation to a specific population. Is it mortality, moribund, morbidity, or mordant? The correct answer is morbidity. The physical therapy director of your facility wants to test the effectiveness of exercise plans for a group of employees. He divided the employees into 2 groups at random, and each employee was given a different set of instructions on a type of exercise to perform each day. The employees do not know what the exercise is for. The employees are evaluated after 1 month, and no differences were found in the exercise plan, which led the physical therapy director to suggest that the exercise plan was not effective. This is an example of experimental research, descriptive research, evaluation research, or, casual research. The correct answer is experimental research. And our last question before we get into our review: what type of error would occur if it were concluded that the new pancreatic stimulant produced the same effects as the current pancreatic stimulant? There is no difference between the new and the current pancreatic stimulants on average, when actually, in fact, they produced different ones. Is it a type 2 error, type 1 error, or a type 0 error? The correct answer is a type 2. Now, as you begin your final exam, I want to remind you all of academic integrity. I know you've heard it before, but when you're taking your final exam, make sure that you don't go to any other sites or have a Moodle account open on another device. It is being tracked and it can be detrimental to your academic success. What is academic integrity? Well, it is the expectation that teachers, students, researchers, and all members of the academic community act with honesty, trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility for our trait, for our field. So now with that, let's review. Now keep in mind, the review is just a guide, okay? It's to really help you to hone in on where to focus your studying on, okay? So go back, review your knowledge checks, go back and work on anything that you're not too clear on, go back and read your chapters. This is just your guide. All right. You have 60 questions and an hour and 30 minutes to complete this final exam. You're going to want to know about the different error types. Okay. You also want to understand hospital inpatient, autopsy, morgue, medical examiner. Make sure that you can differentiate between the newborn autopsy rate, net autopsy rate, necropsy, and post-mortem examinations. You're going to have to calculate a readmission rate, a case fatality rate, unit labor costs, a net mortality rate, and a gross autopsy rate. Be able to differentiate between a quota sample, a random sample, snowball sample, and a systematic sample. But with that, also understand the different sampling methods. Differentiate between an ROI, unit labor cost, variance, and a variance analysis. Differentiate between early fetal death, fetal mortality rate, as well as general anesthesia. And there are quite a few true and false questions on this particular exam. So we covered a lot over the last module, right? Again, if you haven't had the opportunity to work on your survey, go ahead and work on it. Let us hear how you feel. Let us know how we're doing. We can't fix it if we don't know it's broke, right? This week, our 11-week discussion forum is what would be the effects of the entire internet just shutting down? Would we be in chaos? Would it be like The Walking Dead, minus the zombies? Or would we just go back to a world before computers? Let's talk about it in our discussion forum. Also, what is an improper fraction always greater than the number 1? With mathematics, we know that it may not teach us how to add love or minus hate, but it gives us every reason to hope that every problem has a solution. We have come to the end of this module. Thank you for allowing me to take this ride with you all. The holidays are coming up. So let's finish this week off strong so that we can enjoy our friends, our family, and bring in 2023 stress free. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're all here for you. I want you all to have a very amazing holiday. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And if you do need anything, I'm here. Reach out. Have a wonderful evening. Bye. Bye, everybody.